Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When money comes up in your house, does the temperature change? Do voices get tighter? Do shoulders get tense? Does someone shut down? Does someone get louder? Here's what most couples say privately. I'm the only one who cares about our future. I feel like I'm carrying this whole thing financially. I'm tired of being the bad guy. I don't even want to bring it up anymore. And here's the truth that most people just don't want to admit. Money fights are almost never actually about money. They're about fear, control, respect, safety, and here's the big one, lean in, identity. And to be honest with you, if you don't really understand that, you'll keep trying to solve the wrong problem. So today, I'm actually going to show you why you and your partner actually fight about money, the psychology behind risk tolerance, the power dynamic nobody talks about, and the exact 7-step framework to get aligned without actually blowing up your whole marriage. So stay with me. This honestly might be the most important episode I've ever done, and it will save you years of frustration. So what's up, you guys? My name is Jamil. I have built a 9-figure business, a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, a 7-figure stock portfolio, and now I help entrepreneurs and high-income families find freedom and a peace of mind. So before all of the investments and portfolios, it was just me, my wife, and our son. And at the time, I was making about $8,000 a month as a medical sales rep, and my wife was bringing in an additional $2,000 a month as a behaviorist. And here's something that I'm almost ashamed to say, but we sucked with talking about money. But then to make matters worse, I started a business, and that business actually started scaling, which meant our income scaled from $20,000 a month to $50,000 a month to $100,000 a month plus of income, not revenue. So we had to figure out and learn really quickly how to communicate. So let's start with some facts. We've all heard that money is one of the #1 reasons why marriages and relationships fall apart. And according to American Psychological Association, money is consistently one of the top stressors in relationships and definitely within marriages. And studies show couples who argue about money early in marriage are significantly more likely to get a divorce. And we also know divorce kills wealth. But here's the deeper issue. You're not actually arguing about dollars. I know it sounds strange, right? You're more likely arguing about childhood. One of you grew up in chaos, maybe the other grew up in stability. One of you believes money must be protected, while the other believes money is meant to be used. One sees investing as opportunity, and the other sees investing as danger. One spouse's financial behavior is usually a trauma response. So when they overspend, they may equate spending with love, worth, or validation. And if they hoard money, they may equate savings with survival. And if they avoid the conversation altogether, like I did growing up on welfare, they may equate money with conflict. So you're not fighting a budget. You're fighting a belief system. And belief systems, my friend, don't change through spreadsheets. They change through safety. Now, let's talk about something that's very real. When one spouse earns more, there's often an unspoken tension. The breadwinner might feel like, man, I carry this whole thing, while the spouse may feel I'm being judged. Even if nobody says it, money equals power in most relationships, whether we want to admit it or not. And when one person controls the money, the other can feel small, even if unintentional. This is why conversations escalate, because it's not about the $400 bill at Target. It's about the perceived value. And here's where it gets even deeper. Men often tie identity to provision. I'm the provider. While women often tie security to stability. I need to feel safe and secure. So when investing gets aggressive or spending feels reckless, it threatens what? Their very identity. This is why logic fails. You cannot spreadsheet your way out of emotional misalignment. So now that we understand the psychological part and what's happening underneath the hood, let me break down something tactical for you. I call this the 7-step financial alignment framework. And this is the same framework that I use to honestly save my own marriage. And it's the same framework that I've taught to students for the last decade. So let's dive in. Step number one is to simply establish what I call a shared North Star. What is that, Jamil? Well, before the budgets, before investing, before rules, I want you to ask this question to your partner. What's important to you? Like, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your desires? When would you love to see those things accomplished? And actually pause and wait for a response. Don't wait to respond. Wait to understand their response. And then we have the most important question of all, why? Now, their why is your road to success. Their why literally is the game changer. Without knowing that, then we can't move past this step. Because once we have their why, now you can hold space for that. And then you could simply ask, well, listen, if everything went right over the next 10 years, what would that look like? What I don't want you to do is say something like, well, how much do we need to save? No, you want to stay in that nook and cranny of empathy. So continue to say things like, where would we live? How often would we travel? What kind of parents do we want to be? How do we want to feel? And now that you understand specifically what they want, and we've tied in that we are going to be building this together, now is where the magic happens, because you can take all of that and now layer it all together and now be able to present that to them. There's a magical formula that's out there called the law of reciprocity, meaning if you're able to serve them, they're going to be more likely to serve you. If I stick my hand out and offer a handshake, you are naturally going to want to stick your hand out and offer a handshake. So now we can tie it all together, and it sounds like, sweetie, if travel is important to you, if showing the kids the world is what you want, if paying down debt is on the top of your list, if serving on that church mission is something that you really want to do, would it make sense if we put a plan together so that as we follow it, we can start accomplishing your goals? Would that be something that you're open to doing? Boom. Now alignment starts, because we got to know this. Alignment starts with vision, not restriction. Step two. Define your money personalities. What do I mean by that? Generally, we have 4 types of money personalities, and this is really important to understand. The first type of personality is what we call the protector. This is the person that tends to be risk adverse, and they save their tails off. The second type of money personality is what we call the builder. This is the person that is just like, they're growth minded. They love investing. They love creating. They might be the one that's more of a risk taker and an entrepreneur and just wants to like build wealth. The third type of personality is what I call the enjoyer. This is the person that just enjoys life, man, and they love spending money. They're the type that says, you know what, let's spend it, let's charge it, let's figure it out later, as long as we're having fun. And the fourth type of personality is what I call the avoider. This is the person that, like me, possibly grew up on welfare. This money thing is a big stressor for them. And so they just shut down altogether when we start talking about money. So if I look at myself, I'm a combination of the protector and the builder. Anybody that knows me knows that I literally wear the same thing. I eat the same thing. I could go to the same places. I don't need new. I don't need sexy. I don't need expensive. In fact, I love the beach. I love yoga. I love hiking. I like strategically chose those activities because they're free, right? What I actually love is I love investing. I love building businesses. I love building up people. And I love watching money grow. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she is 100% the enjoyer. Man, she gets tremendous pleasure out of spending, out of having a good time. She's the person that goes out and makes sure we go to the concerts, that we're going to the ball games, that we're traveling and taking the kids out. Like, she enjoys life through beautiful experiences. And so for you, what that might look like is, you know, if I see you scrolling on your phone and you're looking at sites like Zillow and Redfin and Vanguard and Charles Schwab, then you might be the person in a relationship that's looking for a deal to invest in. While your spouse, if we looked at their scrolling, habits. They might be scrolling through Amazon and Target and Temu, and they're looking for a deal as well, but they're looking to be more of a consumer and to buy while you're looking to invest and to grow. Now, there's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with you. You just have different money personalities. So it's really important to understand that you're likely going to be one, they're likely going to be the other. And when you understand the personality types, now we can stop labeling them as irresponsible or boring, but you can start to understand their motive. Step 3 is simply separate emotion from structure. What do I mean by that? I mean create 3 buckets. Your first bucket is going to be your safety bucket, which I like to call your emergency fund. Bucket number 2 is lifestyle. This is going to be your spending. Bucket number 3 is for growth, and this is where the investing happens. Now, I wrote a book several years ago called The Richest Man in Direct Sales, and I broke down a framework in that book that I literally still use today, and so do all of our students. That framework is what we call the 10-10-10-70 plan. So let's break it down because it's super easy. When you and your partner get paid, immediately 10% of that paycheck is going to go to a savings account. We typically want to put this savings in a high yield savings, which is going to yield you probably 3, 4, 5% on that saving. This is for safety, and this is for your emergencies. Now the other 10% is simple. We want to allocate this next 10% into building and into investing. And then the third 10%, we simply want to give that away. Now, this leaves us now with 70% of our income to actually spend. So in this system, you'll continue to work together to meet both of your goals. And when safety is handled, risk tolerance increases naturally. So when we started out with 3 months of expenses in an emergency fund. Then we extended to 6, and now we have 12 months of expenses sitting into an account. Now, why is this important? It's important because a 12-month emergency fund calms a nervous spouse more than 100 conversations ever will. Step 4, create a spending autonomy. What does that mean? It means if you're the primary breadwinner or your spouse is the one that's actually the spender, doing this one thing could literally save relationships. I want you to create what I call a no questions asked account. Okay, now this is an account that we're going to establish for the person that's the spender in the relationships. All we do is allocate a certain amount to this account for them every month. Now, it doesn't have to be huge amount. You just want to make sure that it's consistent amount. So when they do spend, there's no commentary, there's no judgment. What we're going to see is freedom is inside of structure. Step number 5, schedule money meetings with rules. This right here is a must. Now, we don't want to schedule these meetings during conflict or right after you had a really big purchase. We definitely want to schedule it, and we want to make sure that it's on both of your calendars as an ongoing event every week, every other week, or at minimum once a month. So here are your rules. No interrupting, no sarcasm, no historical references, only future focused language. Keep it to about 30 minutes. Money talks should feel like board meetings, not like courtroom trials. Step 6, attack cash flow together. What do I mean? So instead of arguing about spending, ask, how do we actually increase our income? Now, what I found is every student that steps into my Inner Circle coaching program, we put them on a plan to earn at least an additional $2,000 a month, even if they're making $500,000 a year. Why? Because couples that build together bond differently. Expansion often reduces friction, and when you're growing, there's less scarcity altogether. And finally, step 7. Now, I could have had this one as step number 1, but let's talk about it. And that is bring in a neutral third party. Sometimes you just need somebody who isn't emotionally charged to step in and be a mediator. I recently just had an attorney join my Inner Circle, and I am convinced that she joined for one reason and one reason only. And that was to have us speak to her husband. And to be honest, that's why coaching works. Not because you don't love each other, but because alignment requires facilitation sometimes. But here's the truth, and Don't shoot the messenger. If you can't talk about money without fighting, you don't have a money problem. You have a communications problem. And if that doesn't get fixed, more income just isn't going to solve it. And how do I know? Because I've coached couples for the last decade that have made $80,000 a year that fall. And I've coached people that's made $800,000 a year and they also fall. So income amplifies what already exists. I know, and you do too. Financial intimacy is built. It's not assumed. So as we land this plane, so if this video hit at all for you, don't just watch it. Have your partner watch it, pause it, discuss it. Actually drop in the comment section right now, which out of the 7 frameworks are you most excited about tackling literally as soon as you get off of this video. So really use this as a starting point. And if you are desiring and craving structure and facilitation, and you really want a system that can help remove emotions from money, then I want to encourage you to join my next 1 Day to Wealth free investing class, and you'll find that link right here in the description. And if this video brought you value at all, consider subscribing to the channel and give this thing a thumbs up so other people have the ability to partner with this content. Like I said at the beginning, this could be the most important video that I've ever made because the stakes are so high. So before we get out of here, I want to give a quick shout out to Deborah Kabaivanov, Allison Dullman, and Eddie Pachenko for being the latest students to join our inner circle this past week. And until the next time, stay with me. No lazy money.